Today on this episode, we have Alley Biehl. She's a longtime veteran of the beauty industry, and now in the last few years, she set up on her own entrepreneurial journey, which is incredibly fascinating. I met her at Makeup in New York about a month ago. I was very impressed by her entrepreneurial drive. She has a new brand called Obelisk. She's been working on for the last 3 or 4 years now, and it's a really interesting backstory. I'll let her introduce herself first, and then we can dive into the company and her journey itself. Ali, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, yeah, would love it if you could tell our viewers and listeners a little bit more about yourself and how you came into the beauty industry, your experiences there, and then what was the personal experience that led you to this entrepreneurial journey?
So I came into the beauty industry a little bit by mistake. I graduated in the '08, '09 when no one was hiring. And so I had to take internships because people were not, they just weren't hiring. And so I fell into an internship that I really, really loved. I worked various different ones, but this one was different. And it was at Smashbox Cosmetics. We were able to touch on basically everything. And I realized this industry is really about empowering women and helping people feel better about themselves. And so that's, I think, what initially drew me to the beauty industry. Um, from there, I worked my way up. I worked at Urban Decay for a long time. I worked at various other beauty industries. One of the ones that really touched me the most was Jafra, which is a multi-level marketing company. Their main business is done in Mexico and South America. They do have an American branch, but it's really what really opened my eyes to beauty in different parts of the world, which is kind of how I got to Obelisk. Just seeing that people view beauty, and not only beauty, but health in different ways through the lens of South America was really powerful to see. And my last job was working at the Honest Company. And after leaving the Honest Company, I then started another brand, which was a sports marketing associated brand, which didn't go over so well during the pandemic because they stopped playing games, as you know. So then I was like, okay, well, what am I really passionate about? I've always been really passionate about like plant-based medicine and alternative medicine. And that's kind of where I got to Obelisk Beauty because I'd used coca leaf and beauty products in South America and my various trips there. And then I also was dealing with health issues with my lymphatic system. And you can even ask any of my friends. We always used to have this joke. They would call me Fat Hand because I had this one hand that was like bloated. And I went to every single specialist, every single doctor. You wouldn't believe how many tests I got. Everyone had some different theory, but it wasn't until I'd gone to South America and I'd spoken to the doctors there that they were like, oh, it's your lymphatic system. And these are different things that you can do for it. And they were all alternative plant-based medicines. One of those medicines was coca. So that is, kind of how I got here. There's other channels as well, but that's really what I'm interested in. I started to do a lot more research on it. But there really isn't much research. It's very limited because it's a demonized plant due to one opioid in the leaf, which everyone knows and is very, very famous. But there's just been almost no, I'm talking no, like none. There's no grants for it. There's no research money for it. They've just written the whole leaf off ever since 1961. And I want to change that because I think there's a lot of opportunity and healing available, not just in physical health, but also mental health.
Oh, what a fascinating and powerful personal story there. When you went to South America and you talked to the doctors there, did you ask them, had anyone there tried to commercialize this or try to bring this more to a mass market with any sort of treatment?
So the coca leaf is actually legal in Peru and Bolivia. There's many mass market products there. They are not available in America. They're just not even available. Well, they're not available anywhere in the world. And it was funny because when I first started out on this journey, I'd gone to like a perfumers convention in Miami, and they only have this convention like once every 4 years. And I thought to myself, if I'm going to find this, additive anywhere, it's going to be here. I mean, these people deal in plant oils. And it's so funny. I brought my one of my dear friends, Fernanda. She came with me because she's fluent in Spanish. My Spanish is horrible at best. When we spoke to people, and the only people that were actually interested in helping us were people of South American descent. So everyone else, like, the Europeans, the Americans, the, Asian people that were in this, community, they were like, no. But you went to the South Americans and they understood it, and they understood what we were looking for and understood what we were trying to do. So that right there told me, like, okay, they know something we don't know.
Got it. Got it. And then through that experience, you started to build out your network and really start to give you the vision for how you could bring Obelisk to more people in North America and other markets where they didn't have access to the healing power of the cocoa leaf, right?
Yeah, so I started on my journey, and I imported Anako from Anako, which most people don't know in America, but they provide cocoa leaf additives for Coca-Cola, flavoring companies, Kraft, GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer. All of these big mega companies actually buy from basically one source in Peru. And so I imported 2 kilos from them, and I sent it to a lab in Chicago. And they said, look, Allie, this is like food grade additive. It doesn't actually contain any nutrients. It's not the same product that you see in the South American market that has the vitamins, the nutrients, the minerals, and the properties that are able to help you as a person. It's just basically what makes Coca-Cola taste like Coca-Cola, or, it's used as a food flavoring.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I'm like, okay, well, how can I get closer to this? And I had a executive at Sony Music in Los Angeles, who I'd known for years, point me in the direction of a research scientist at Harvard who had been studying this leaf for over 20 years. It took me a bit of time to get in contact with her. She's of Bolivian descent, and so she actually had a scholastic and religious exemption to study this leaf at Harvard. But there weren't a lot of money coming in for grants because people are just very close-minded about the possibility to study this. And she's trying to change it. She and I kind of danced around and courted each other for a year. She wanted to understand exactly what my vision is, and she wanted to understand why I wanted to partner with her. So we finally came to an agreement this July. We signed a contract, and she's been, not only is she really fascinating as a person, but she's been really a great source of education for me on this leaf, and really how, like, he's going to use her platform, and I can use my platform to further, like, decriminalize and to really talk about the leaf as far as all of its elements, not just the cocaine alkaloid.
That's wow. What a lot of fortuitous things had to go right in order for you to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously it's been a journey. It's been about a little bit over 2.5 years I've been on this. And yeah, I mean, working with, these people at Anako and getting all of that, I mean, it's like out of a movie. I felt a little bit scared at times. And my mother was like, please don't tell me what's going on. I don't want to know. But I got there, and right now we're just we're in the phase of think of CBD where it was 20 years ago, or think of mushrooms where they were 20 years ago, or LSD. And if you know the history, it's fascinating that we were making so much progress on this, especially at Harvard, your alma mater, and then they banned it as soon as, call me tinfoil hat lady, as soon as the pharmaceutical companies were like, wait, this actually has some real healing power. And then also, there's always people that are going to abuse something, even, medication from a pharmacy is abused. So that's something I think that we need to work on a little bit as a society, is like, would you rather have people abuse plants, or would you rather have them abuse, right? You gotta look at it like that, in my opinion.
Right, absolutely. Speaking of your mom's reaction when you told her you're going on this journey, Tell me a little bit more about your family influences. You have relatives that were entrepreneurial that encouraged you along the way, or how did that play out?
I actually, my mother, so she's an attorney by trade. She's retired now. She lives in Hawaii. I have an older brother. He's married with his wife. He lives in Hawaii. Uh, I don't actually have any entrepreneurs in my family. I have zero. My family's on my dad's side were doctors and scientists. And then on my mother's side, she was an attorney. Her mother is traditional family. Her mother never worked. But her father was an artist by trade, but came from, they had like real estate management. So, I mean, I never really had anyone in my family that had been an entrepreneur. And I always had followed the path of like, I'm going to get this job and then I'm going to work my way up the corporate ladder and da 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 da. And I just became a little bit disenfranchised with the red tape in corporate America. It became really frustrating for me. So I'd have all these amazing ideas and I'm like, okay, like let's bring this to market. And the way that it works in corporate America, if you're in brand, which is what I was in, is you would bring your idea into this boardroom filled with people who hear ideas all day, but they just want to see the numbers. They want to see the projections. They don't understand like brand equity. They don't understand, okay, like we're doing this, but da, 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 da. It might not bring in that much money, but what it's going to do is build us to then launch something else. And it's hard to explain sometimes to a group of people that's only there to watch the money and to create returns for their shareholders, which I get. Like I understand both sides, but I felt like there was a lot of red tape, and I felt a little bit like my spirit was being killed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's a constant struggle, especially when you're working on larger corporates, because the executives, they also have to stay on this quarterly reporting schedule to their investors or potentially to Wall Street. And so there's always a tension between the short-term needs of the company and also long-term vision of where brand people such as yourself may want to take the brand, right?
Correct. And it's hard to explain to people sometimes, okay, like this is where you see the brand equity being built. Yes, it might not be the biggest return, but to a consumer, they kind of, understand it versus like, okay, this is going to get us, this many holiday dollars and it's got this great margin and we should just knock this out of the park. I understand it's a delicate dance, but it was frustrating at times. And my last job at the Honest Company, I really actually love Jessica. I think she's an incredible person. I think she's a visionary and amazing. But it was, I think, my final foyer in that like really corporate space. I just felt like, okay, like I know I need to do something else.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And now that you're on your own as an entrepreneur and you have control and autonomy over the vision, over the brand, how do you learn about entrepreneurship? Given that there's no one in your family to guide you, you're learning all this for the first time. What are your inspirations these days?
I think you just have to do it. I think you just have to put yourself out there and do it. And I've had so many people tell me I'm crazy. I can't even. I could just hundreds of people are like, "You're crazy. Your idea's stupid. It's never gonna work." Blah blah blah. But like a lot of the times, you just have to keep going, and like people are always gonna say rude things to you, and you just kind of have to be like, "Okay, like that's great. That's your opinion, but." Whatever. I mean, I'm going to keep going. And I think another thing that's going to really make, I understand digital probably a little bit more than like the average entrepreneur because I have that background. I'm doing demand creation, which is it's a different strategy for an entrepreneur. I think entrepreneurs a lot of the times they just like launch a product and they're like, okay, well, like I think this is going to work because I have this, and this. No, I want to know 100%, especially because it is Coca. I need to understand quantitatively what people across America and what they are across Europe thinking about this, what they know about this. Then I'll go back in, create audiences online using like living ads. Then from there, I'm going to go and really start, like, actually, as you suggested, I asked you what some options are, opportunities are, create a landing page and create a newsletter just to kind of keep people updated on my journey. and to gain feedback from them as well. So it's you just kind of have to do it. I don't know how to explain it. It's like no one else is going to help you. No one else is going to get you there. Yes, you're going to have people that you look up to that are amazing, but you just kind of have to put yourself out there. And it's funny. The people that I thought were going to be really, really excited about this project actually are the ones that are like, you're crazy. And the people that I thought were like, oh, these people are just not going to be excited at all, are like, wow, that's actually really cool and interesting. And they're excited to hear more and understand what the vision is, not just the brand, but the vision. And I think the vision overall and like what's driving me, not just, okay, like Obelisk, I want to obviously be successful, but what's driving me overall is like, I think we really have to like take a different stance on like plants and not criminalizing them and understand, and I'm going to get a little hokey pokey right now, like, but that God put everything on this earth for humans to heal, and try to run with that and see where it goes.
That's incredible. I think what you mentioned around that bias to action, that's kind of what ties all us entrepreneurs together, right? We all feel sometimes other people are saying what we're doing is crazy, right? But we just have to believe in ourselves and continue to push forward and put ourselves out there. We'll come back to the vision that you mentioned in a little bit. I think that's something worth digging a little bit more into. But as part of this show, we typically like to talk about the operations behind a brand. That's why it's called Behind the Brand. Mm-hmm. And the unique element of how you're launching this product or this set of products is very interesting. The approach, the perspective you're taking on demand creation, like you mentioned, it's not something that's typically done in your space. And it's fascinating for me because demand creation, that process is actually fairly common in the software industry. When you're trying to launch a new piece of consumer software, you typically go through similar steps to what you described around demand creation. So when I first heard about it, when you first told me about what you're doing, I was like, wow, this makes total sense. How come no one's tried to apply it to the skincare products industry? So tell me a little bit more about what you're doing on the demand creation side. And I think it might inspire our audience, more people in our audience, to think about beauty products in similar ways.
Thank you. That's actually a great question. And it was funny because when we met at Makeup in New York and everyone gave their short bio, yours, obviously, you work directly with companies that make way too much inventory, and then you've got to work to help them manage it. And I, in the very beginning of my career, when I was working for Urban Decay, one of the retail accounts that we were with had actually the opposite of the problem. So like we could not make enough product for that account. And, not going to name names, but some people still run their industry off of Excel spreadsheets, even in 2014. I know that seems unbelievable, but it's true. Having said that, I understand both sides, right? Because I've also worked for companies that have too much inventory. And so what's the right number, right? It's not what the minimum order quantity of, the third-party manufacturer says. It's what you can actually create as far as demand. And the one reason I wanted to do demand creation is because I'll be honest, like I don't know who really my target market is for this brand, because it's never been done before in the North American and European markets. I don't know. So that was one reason, because I need to understand who they are. I think they're going to be the YUPs, which is the young urban professionals. For those of you in marketing, you understand what a YUP is. But I don't know that. So I don't know what I don't know. So that's one first step we're doing is a quantitative analysis. So we're going to Europe. I hired a European marketing firm to help me. We're going to Europe, and they're going to cast a wide net to understand who it is. And then in America, I'm kind of guiding them a little bit more because I know America pretty well, but I don't know Europe as well. So that's one reason I chose to go with a European firm. Just to understand, okay, let's get a quantitative analysis. Then we're going to go in, take that and then target people with living ads online. And I don't know if your audience is familiar with living ads, but they're served through, Google, Facebook, like some Amazon verticals, Instagram, but it's a swipeable, so you get yes or no. And Then you understand, okay, who exactly is interested in your brand. You have their cookies, you have your IP address. They already had gone through the process of swiping and giving you information. From there, you can create lookalike audiences and then apply that same, refine even what you know even more, and then apply that same process to that lookalike audience. So by the time you launch, you understand, okay, like these are the people who are interested in my brand. I want to take that, all of those living ads, then go in and say, okay, now let's do the 4Ps. Let's go back in and really create a brand that the people want. So you're not left with all of this excess inventory.
I think everyone should be doing that. It sounds incredibly smart what you're doing. And then let's say after you do the demand creation step, um, what would you say is the most ideal outcome? Assuming you do all this demand creation, what are you hoping is the ideal outcome of that?
Obviously, to reach the people who want to buy the product and who agree with the vision. I think that's the number one. But the number two is to then have them go back and be a voice for the benefit of the coca leaf and really get a movement behind it. Similar to what was done with, psilocybin, similar to what was done with like MDMA. You really, once you get a voice of people behind it, and just so many people do not know, they don't know about this leaf. They know about the one alkaloid that's very, very famous, but it takes almost 2 tons of those leaves to make 1 kilo of sellable street cocaine. So because of that, the leaf hasn't been studied at all. Like, it's just, these people are, and I think once people understand the leaf is just such a small part of the, cartel and the street gangs, that it has nothing to do with it. And it's, used by both of these countries. And Bolivia's got one of, the oldest populations in the world because of this. It's like one of those, I forgot what they call them, like blue zones or whatever. And I think we need to maybe take some notes on that. So that's what I'm hoping, is that it brings a greater awareness to the leaf and the healing properties of it, and we can really get some money behind it and study it.
Absolutely. And so after the demand creation process, you're hoping to get a bunch of learn a lot about people who may benefit from this leaf, learn about also have them learn about the properties of the leaf and how it may benefit them. Once you are engaging with those people, how do you foresee the community growing? How do you foresee the community evolving over the years? I guess this kind of leads into the vision you were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I hope that we can decriminalize the leaf. And I was speaking, with my partner at Harvard, and what she said is that, and this has been her idea for many, many years, is you can actually price out the cartel and you can price out the drug dealers. So if you make it very, very expensive and you go in and use, amazing farming methods, you support, because it's mostly women and children who harvest the leaves because they're very small. And you need to, they're not very small, but you need to pick the stems off of the leaf in order to get you don't want the stem, you just want the leaf. So it's mostly women and children that are doing this harvesting. So it's like, support them, get them money for schools. Like, they live oftentimes not in, great communities. So it's really, I think there's a big vision about like giving back, and that's definitely part of the business plan. We've already, worked together to open a charity in Bolivia to work with these women, these children, these communities that, ethically harvest coca for health and community. And it's used like that across South America.
Oh, that's such a heartwarming idea of taking both healing powers of the leaf, but also creating avenues for that to give back to the communities where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, so you have the community aspect, you have the healing aspect, and you also have the aspect of this crusade of trying to get more people to realize, hey, this is probably, something like, could be something like psilocybin, could be something like CBD. This is a lot of pieces moving on. I wonder what keeps you going? You know, what keeps you going these days?
I'm just working. Well, first of all, my partner, she's amazing. She's incredible. I can't say enough positive things about her. And she's also really super smart. You know, she's been doing this for 20 years at Harvard. She's just, she's really one of the inspirations for me. I mean, I guess I see something that's bigger than me, and I see how much it's been demonized, and knowing what I know now and reading what I've read, especially like the Michael Pollan books and, you know, How to Change Your Mind and Your Mind on Plants. After reading those books and really doing a big, but I mean, I think that there's, and he even ignores the coca leaf. Even Michael Pollan ignores it. So it's like, look, like, that we just, it doesn't give you a you know, psychedelic effect. You don't trip out. I drink the tea almost every morning for my lymphatic system. You don't trip out. It's not like a, you know, it's not a fun drug. So it's, I think it's also not getting as much attention for that. But I, you know, there's, I think personally, it probably has the power, and we don't know this until we study it, to like cure, you know, low grade depression. For me, it's worked wonders and miracles. My family all suffered from depression, and I mean, even sometimes I'm susceptible to it. And I, you know, I've been using this leaf now for like over a year. It's like, it's really, I can say it's changed my life.
In terms of products, it sounds like this could be more than just a skincare company. It's more of a holistic wellness and beauty company. What types of products are you envisioning for the initial line?
So that's another part of the demand creation is I'm going to let them tell me, right? So skincare isn't something, you're not reinventing the wheel. You know, there's always going to be, you know, a moisturizer, a serum, you know, this, that, blah, blah, blah. But I want them to kind of say, okay, so the delivery method can be different. The packaging can be different. And then also the ingredients can be different. So what I'm hoping is that, you know, through this demand creation process is they'll really be able to say, okay, like, we know that these are the benefits of the leaf because you've clearly presented to them like this to us in the data. We would like to see it in this product first, and we'd like to use it in this product first. That's kind of where I'm going with it. I think that there is a wellness component to it. I'd like to expand into that, but right now my contract really does permit for healing through cosmetics. So maybe one day the contract will expand. I'm hoping once this product is launched and the brand is launched that we really are able to continue to do business together, because she's been a really wonderful partner thus far.
That's fantastic. And in terms of fundraising, I know as a entrepreneur in the early days is always difficult. Have you thought about fundraising? Have you already fundraised? What are your views on taking on investors?
So I would probably do a friends and family round first. I'm very, very fortunate that I have amazing, wonderful people in my life that support me and support my vision. Fundraising is something I am interested in. That's one reason I did go to makeup in New York, because I wanted to understand who was out there for the beauty space. I haven't really began looking outside of makeup in New York. I've gone to, you know, another couple places here and there, and I've pitched, but I want to be with not just anyone, but like I want to be with an investor who understands the vision and understands that it's bigger than just skincare. Does that make sense? And I know that's going to be hard to find, right? You know, a lot of people are very careful about who they support, where they put their money. They don't want to support anything that has, you know, I have to find the exact right person. So maybe in a year or so, I'll really start looking for investors. I mean, I've already started looking now, but I think looking for investors is a bit like dating. You got to go on a lot of pitches, a lot of dates, and then, you know, figure out, okay, like this person is the right fit. They believe in this. They believe in the vision. Because I've worked at places before where you get these firms that come in and they just throw money at the problem, but they don't understand the brand, they don't understand the vision. And then that leads to, from what I've seen, for historical context, that leads to kind of like a sad like dissolution of the brand, because the people who came in and gave the money want the brand to go one way, and then the founders want the brand to go the other direction. And so you get this, it's really about finding the exact right partner.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want them to be as involved and as excited about the vision as you are, so that, inevitably tough times will happen, and you want everyone to stay focused on the prize at the end of the tunnel. So if, of course, if there's any strong-willed investors out there who want to talk more to Alley, our very visionary founder here, just reach out to me through our podcast. Happy to make that introduction.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to talk to people, but I think it's best to do, kind of how my partner in Harvard and I work together. It's like a year of kind of getting to know each other. I went to Harvard Club many, many times. I'd gone up to Boston many times. It wasn't an immediate thing, because she wanted to understand my full vision. She didn't want just this much of it. She wanted to understand the whole thing. She wanted to understand me. She wanted to understand how I would work with her. So it takes about a year. I mean, they say the same thing about dating, right? You don't really know someone until it's like a year in. Because, people can hide their intentions and, be a different person and da, 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 da. I think the same is with business partners and with investors.
Absolutely. Well, Alley, again, it's so great to have you on the show. I've personally learned a lot about your vision, your journey, and I just want to say, really looking forward to keeping in touch. Best of luck to you. If there's any way that we can help, love to be of service. Before we end, is there any last thoughts you want to share with the audience, or maybe more, I guess, like aspiring entrepreneurs who kind of like who maybe were in your shoes like 5 years ago? They were working at a large corporate, and maybe they have this personal vision, or they have something that really hits with them, and they're thinking, should I do it? Should I not? What words of advice would you have?
You have to be a really tough skin. I mean, I think I think in the cosmetic industry, not my first job, but like there's a lot of coddling. And, I've had so many people tell me I'm crazy, I'm wrong, I'm stupid. I've heard it all, especially, even from consulting firms that I've hired. I'm not joking. These people get on the phone and they're like, you're doing the impossible. Like, why are you doing this? You just need to understand that your vision is bigger than what people say about you. Just how you are, not your thoughts. Like, you've got to understand and I think that's one reason it has to be bigger than like, I just want to make money. I don't think that's like the right way to go about anything. I think you need to understand, this is a vision. This is how I see it. And like, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm more driven about like changing the world's opinion on this plant than making brand that it's more about that avenue for me. So, but I think advice to other entrepreneurs is just keep going. Like, people are always going to say like rude, terrible things, but you can't let them win.
Keep going. I think that's a great place to end it. Well,
keep going.
It was a pleasure chatting with you, Alley, and pleasure speaking to you on this show. Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.